The post office is essentially defaulted. It's come up against its debt limit, and it's simply saying it won't be making payments into retirement and health care if it doesn't get a big bailout from Congress, and we're not about to give it to them.
Let's get to that point, Congressman, because that is why you're here. Thank you for bringing us back to that.
Thought I'd pivot right into that.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. All
He's
right.
very media savvy.
Yeah, a couple $1 billion loss a few years ago, $8 billion last year, $8 billion this year, $8 billion. We're getting to the point where this is auto bailout size stuff here. You mentioned the contributions to the pensions. It's not like those pensions are probably going to be cut. Does that mean the American taxpayer is going to be on the hook with another big bill, this time courtesy of the post office?
Well, if we don't do something about it, this will end up more like Freddie and Fannie, where not paying attention to solvency eventually catches up, and now we're putting billions and billions into it. This is correctable. The post office can meet its obligation if it makes the reasonable cuts it needs to make. The post office is 80% labor, so we can't ignore labor. But a lot of the fixes in the legislation that we prepared and dropped yesterday are about things other than that, right-sizing the amount of facilities, cutting back by about 170,000 the number of people who are involved in mail delivery. And understand, at the post office, you can get rid of 170,000 people over the next several years only through retirement, but it has to be retirement that we choose, not waiting for people to choose retirement.
Congressman, with all due respect, it's always very easy to sort of sit from afar and to prescribe what needs to be done to solve the problem. But realistically, do you think they're going to take those difficult decisions? And if not, what do you think about the option of privatization?
Well, Mandy, this is already a fairly privatized entity. What we're doing is, instead of going in with mandates, we're going in with a list of things we believe matter. We're creating a board that has the authority and the requirement, the responsibility to execute that which is necessary. We're not mandating they go from 6 to 5 day delivery. What we're doing is realizing that there are subsidies that need to go, there are changes that need to go. We don't name one post office to close. What we do is we extend a $10 billion line of credit collateralized against the post offices that will eventually be sold to give them working room to make this transition. But we also create a board, a bipartisan board that is designed to make sure that they execute on this so that we're not having this problem 2-3 years down the road, particularly when what's at stake is a large group of current retirees and future retirees who are going to depend on these retirement funds that right now they're saying they're not going to pay into.
And the post office has already laid off thousands of I think over couple 100,000 workers, but it is still the second biggest employer in the United States behind Walmart, I believe. This is a politically sticky issue, right, Congressman? Because you can't be willing to lay off a couple 100,000 more people in this economy.
Well, I understand that the word layoff is often used, but let's understand these departures were mostly they were all through attrition, some voluntary, some incentivized. No one was forced out. We have more than 170,000 postal workers who are fully vested and could retire. As a matter of fact, we have 3 postal workers who are over 98 years old that are still getting full pay. There are plenty of options that do not require one person being, quote, laid off or involuntarily cut unless they're fully of retirement age, and we make the decision that, in fact, thank them for their service, but in a shrinking market, having 170,000 too many people is part of their $8.5 billion loss. And remember, this bill does not force them to do each of these things. What it does is it says you must right size. We're going to eliminate regulations and mandates Congress put on, but we're putting a board on that is responsible to ensure that you do what you need to do, and you do it in these next couple of years, because we're not coming in with a bailout. This would be inappropriate, particularly if that bailout is basically hidden in a way in which we pretend it doesn't cost money. Well, it puts taxpayers at risk.
Yeah, and we got to go, Congressman, but if the numbers hold for next year, the U.S. Post Office will lose and probably be bailed out more than Chrysler was. Total.